So here is my foundation drawer, and I'm a little embarrassed to show this because yes, I have quite an extensive collection. However, some of these are from my makeup kit. Some of them are for personal use. Some of them have been sent to me. So I feel like that maybe justifies it, but I do know that this is too many foundations. I know. But let's just take everything out and see what we have. So starting off, I have the Even Steven foundation by The Balm. These are actually in my makeup kit. I used to use these on models. Now, as you can see, because I haven't been working recently, the foundation has started to separate. What I'm actually going to do is clean out these little pots, and then I can use them for other things, for like storage. And that way it's not that much of a waste. I will say this foundation was so flawless, and anytime I used it on any of my models, I would have people asking me like, what is that? Because the texture is so unusual. It just went on flawlessly, and even under heavy lights, it just looked flawless. Absolutely love this foundation, but I won't be doing any work for the next while, so we're gonna have to clean these out, and at least the storage isn't going to go to waste. Next up, I have the Estee Lauder Double Wear. I've had this foundation for probably 10 years. It was one of the first kind of high-end foundations that I bought when I first started in the makeup industry because everybody would talk about Double Wear. It wasn't a foundation that I actually really liked using. I kind of got it because of the hype, but you know what? It holds a special place in my heart. So I'm never going to use it, but I'm going to keep it just to look at. It also might serve as a reminder not to just go along with hype. Next up, I have the Vichy Derma Blend. These are also from my makeup kit. Whenever I use Vichy on anybody, they feel very comfortable with it. I think because they recognize the brand as not being harmful to the skin. I think people are just comfortable with this particular brand. So I have the two different types of foundation in here. I personally didn't use them that much on myself, but I did like using them on other people. However, because I haven't been using them, I'll probably give them to a makeup artist friend of mine. But for now, I'll put them back in the drawer. Next up, I have the Infallible foundations and highlighters. Now, the highlighters should actually be in the other drawer, which we already organized last week. I think I thought that they were all the foundations. The foundations are amazing, but these highlighter shades come in a variety, which means I can mix and match depending on the color that I need and the look that I'm creating. But we will be putting them into the other drawers. Now, the foundation, if you get a chance to find this stick foundation, I highly recommend it. Even though I love the highlights, the actual foundation itself is unbelievable. And I use it all the time for my up-close tutorials. Moving on, we have the Urban Decay Stay Naked foundation. I haven't had a chance to use this. I want to try up a few other things first, but I love the Stay Naked collection, so I'm sure I'm going to love this because I also love the concealer, which I use all the time. Next up, I have the Maybelline Dream Radiance Liquid and also the Urban Cover. I haven't had a chance to use these, but my sister says the Urban Cover is brilliant. I also think that the Dream Radiance Liquid is going to be great for the more mature skin because it has the hyaluronic acid in there and the collagen too. It's a perfect combination, and I'm going to give one to my mom, and I'm also going to keep the Urban Cover for myself because my sister says it's really good and I trust her. Next up, we have the Benefit Hello Happy. I actually thought that this was a very limited collection, but I see that they've added some more shades, which I'm really thankful for. I love this foundation for more of the younger skin. If I'm going to do like a dramatic eye, I always have to put a little bit on the skin for the younger girls, but I don't like to put anything too heavy, you know? So this is a great one because it's not too heavy on the skin, it adds a little extra coverage and helps the eyes stand out. For more of the mature skin and also a personal favorite of mine, I have the Yves Saint Laurent All Nighter Primer and then the Lancome Ultra Wear. I just love the combination of the primer and then that foundation. They work beautifully together. There is an all-nighter foundation, however, I do like it for more of the winter because it does last a really long time, even if you're going from hot and cold environments. That one's more for the winter, and then the Ultra Wear is kind of all year round. Next up, I have the Giorgio Armani. This is a new one. I've already gone through one of these already. So basically it has this little flip up cap with the sponge, and then your foundation is sitting underneath, and I love it. It's great for on the go if you're the type of person that just needs to have makeup maybe in your car or at your desk or wherever you're going. I don't know where you're going, but wherever you're going and you need just a little bit of makeup, this one's a really handy one to have. Speaking of Giorgio Armani, my go-to for my makeup kit is the Giorgio Armani Silk Foundation and the Power Foundation. And these are the best wedding, bridal, mother of the bride foundations in my opinion. So you have the silk one, which is more for the drier skin. It looks phenomenal and the lasting power is amazing. Seriously, you can get a good 24 hours out of this, if not more, if you really prep the skin and make sure you're kind of fixing it up. Unbelievable, one of my favorites. And then you have the Power one, which is more for the oilier skin. For the more mature ladies, what I like to do is I mix up a little bit of both, particularly if the makeup is not holding onto the more mature skin, which can often happen, but I like to use like a combination of both for them. And I also really appreciate the fact that they've come out with a slightly different one, but very similar in a tube form, which is a lot handier for traveling rather than the glass containers. Don't get me wrong, love the glass containers, but having it in a tube is much easier. Something that's kind of similar to the Giorgio Armani Silk Foundation is the Rimmel Lasting Finish Foundation. This is a breathable. Now, I think the breathable actually got discontinued, which is really unfortunate because this is one of my favorites. Again, for up close tutorials, I would use this foundation because it sits really nicely, even when the camera is like really close to my face. It also feels quite hydrating on the skin, particularly around the eye area when I'm doing my up close eye makeup tutorials. This is what I would use, but I think it's been discontinued. However, the original formula, the Lasting Finish Original, is a beautiful foundation as well. And another product that I love from Rimmel is the Matte Perfection. This was actually my go-to in college. I loved this foundation so much. It always looked amazing on a night out. Not that I went out very much when I was in college, but again, a great foundation. It holds up against some of the higher ones as well, which I really like. And it's from the drugstore. I wish they had a better shade range. However, their shade range is fairly limited. I'm pretty sure they've added more perhaps, but I wish more brands would add more shades, and skip shades rather than going like 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. We should be getting like 1, 3s, 6s, 9s. We should be jumping shades so that we have more variety, but they don't have to have the expense of creating a huge collection. Just skip them. If they can't afford to make more shades, skip them. A foundation collection that does have a massive shade range is the True Match. Now this is the American True Match bottles. These are glass bottles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean these out because these are really old. Clean these out and then I'm going to use them. I think they'll be really cute in my bathroom actually with some, bath salts or something. Note Cosmetics next. I don't really use these that often. I have used them a few times. They're pretty good and I always like to have a foundation from each brand. It helps me understand the brand, which is again what I have here. I have the LA Girl Pro Coverage. Again, I always like to have a foundation from each brand. So if I do like a brand tutorial, I always know I have a foundation ready for that. And I love actually the Pro Coverage. I think that they have a great collection. I love the fact that they have the different tones now that you can mix in. The concealer collections are amazing. I use the concealer every single day. Love LA Girl. I don't reach for this foundation that much, but I do reach for the concealer. A new favorite of mine is the Wet n Wild Stick Foundations. I use these for cream contouring and highlighting. I love using the more of the cooler tones in the darker shade for contouring my face. I feel like they work really well for that. Not so much for foundation. I feel it's a little heavier for my skin, but I love the way that it blends and sits on the skin if I'm using it for cream contouring and highlighting. So I will be keeping the whole collection. Next up, I have the Maybelline 24-Hour Foundation. I love the Superstay collection by Maybelline. I know people like the Fit Me, didn't really get into the Fit Me collection. The Superstay, in my opinion, was way better. I feel like it really did exactly what it said. It super stayed on your skin. I used to use these when I had acne because it just covered everything and it stayed covered, all day long. Again, I always like to have a foundation from each brand. Take a sip of water every time I say that.